Hi, it's Jose. Today I am going to talk about my yard and living like I'm in paradise right now. And I cultivate my yard. I have a little yard and it's my little space and I take care of it, and I just love to be back here. The feel of it is so zen, and so I just feel good when I'm here. And after growing up in a religion where they weren't living for today, they were always living for the future. So just a little tidbit of information there. I grew up in a religion called the Jehovah Witnesses, and my mom joined when I was 5, and we were Roman Catholic before that. Not really celebratory, like we only really did use the religion to do marriages and Christmases and weddings, funerals. Otherwise, you didn't really go to church, but you did practice all the holidays. So I do have memories of the holiday before my mom shifted us over to becoming Jehovah's Witnesses. They taught us that Armageddon was coming anytime. And I'll tell you, I believed it. When I was a kid, I believed that stuff. And I realized after I left it, probably as a teenager, late teenager, when I decided that wasn't for me, I became agnostic, and I didn't really believe in much. Possibilities are great. Aliens are possible. God is possible. The afterlife is possible. But I need some proof. I'm doubting Thomas. I'm like, I need some physical proof. I have no idea where I was going to with that. Another tidbit of information, I had a car accident just over 3 years ago in September of 2018. And I hit my head pretty hard. Also broke my wrist. So I had to have plate and pins in there because it was sheared right off. And so I deal with some post-concussion issues. I've come a long way, and I'm just going to keep going. But nonetheless, will go off tangent. It's a brain injury. What can you do? The reason for me making this channel is because I was really starting to feel alone in a lot of the avenues in my life, and I realize, I know that I'm not alone, actually. I know that I'm not alone, and I don't understand why I feel the way that I do, probably because I isolate. There is a reason for my isolation, which I can get into at another time. But right now, I just wanted to take you on a tour of my garden. There we go. We brought back to the original thought of what I'm doing here right now. And was talking about Armageddon. And so at Armageddon, even though I didn't believe in it anymore, as a teenager, I left the religion behind, and I still had these nightmares. I would have nightmares about Armageddon, about like, it's happening right now, and then I'd see people that were dead in real life, but they were there, and they were trying to call me over, and I'm like, I couldn't get to them. But I had these recurring dreams for a long time, and I actually don't know when they'd left, but they dropped off at some point, probably after I lost my fear of death. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But nonetheless, I'm going to give you a tour of my yard, and to explain that you can be in paradise right now. I'm on a spiritual journey, and which I would never have said, like, holy, before 2007, actually, maybe even a lot later, but something happened in 2007 that set me off on another tangent from where I was. I was living a robot life. I was like going to work every day and just being a robot. I can't even really kind of remember the person that I was before that time, but 2007, I went off on another trajectory, and my spirituality began. And after losing it as a young person, and especially growing up in the Jehovah's Witnesses, in religion, you really are, if you believe in Armageddon, they put that fear into you, especially as a young person. I was scared. I was living in fear all the time. Everything was about fear. Fear of death, essentially. And that religion also made me fear of being myself, because I had to hide who I was, because I had been somebody else before we converted, and now they don't like who I am, and I have to hide who I am and the things that I'm thinking, and very quickly turned me into a person that was a double life person. Like, I actually, essentially, I think I always had like the other hand person there from the time I was small. And it turned me into what I call a chameleon, where I learned to be different around different people. So when I come in, I see how they act, and then I act like them for safety. Because if you act like yourself, you're very quickly going to get pulled aside and told how you should be acting, or how you should not be acting for some reason or another. So I learned to just be how everybody else wants me to, how they are, and then I'm accepted. But really it turns out that I didn't know who I was. So I know who everybody else is, and which takes me to why I'm doing this today, because I'm on a journey to finding out who I am. I have no idea who I am. Slowly, I've actually picked up some stuff. I am a spiritual person. Turns out, wow, I wouldn't thought of it. I mean, and I'm saying these words, and the internet is going to hear these words, and the people watching are going to hear these words, but that's the truth. Little story about that. My best friend Kim's brother, Willie, he was my roommate when I was about 20. I had a boyfriend, different boyfriend, Bart, but he was my roommate, and we were sitting in the dark. Apologize for the drug talk, but we were smoking a joint, and in the dark, passing it back and forth. And he was older than us. Like, he was like maybe, I think he was like 28 and I was 20. And he says, do you ever think about the particles of the universe? And I started to laugh at him. I'm like, now? Why would I think about the particles of the universe? And a few years ago, he passed away. He was building a Tesla coil in his garage, and he electrocuted himself. Love you, Willie. Missed ya. Know you're here with me. But I remember some years ago, after I started my spiritual journey, and my life changed, and the things that were going through my mind, like my thoughts changed. And one day I realized that I was thinking about the particles of the universe. And I says, oh, Willie, buddy, I'm thinking about the particles of the universe. Like, who would have ever thought that? You know, because at 20, my mind pattern wasn't on that. I can't even remember what my mind pattern was on back then, because I don't think anything really important happened to be able to remember it, other than like my kids and working a lot. I'm sure I learned something. But anyhow, here we are. I'm in my own paradise. I now connect with the element of earth in my garden. This is my fall garden. If I get a chance, I'll add on I did take a video of my summer garden, but I would really like to share this with you. So I apologize for a little bit of the mess when it comes to toys of children. I am 43 and I have 6 grandchildren, ranging from a year and a half to 10 years old. I was a young grandparent at 33, but that's how it is in our family tree. The women are all getting married and having kids, usually 16, 17, and up until 2 years ago, we had 6 generations of girls alive in our family. Actually, when the baby was born, a year and a half, almost 2 years. My great-grandma was still alive, and she just passed away, but 6 generations. Come on, guys, that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, there's pros and cons about having kids young, and there's pros and cons about waiting to have kids. So now I am raising 2 of my grandchildren, both of my children's firstborns, and one is 10, and one is 1.5 years. And so I've got a lot of toys that are kids going on because this is my life now. Here we go. This is my yard. So I'm gonna go through, this is just like my little patio. I grow some vegetables in this little box over here, some cucumbers and herbs, and I've got, you know, my hosta garden. I like to grow some stinging nettle for tea. I drink curative tea, it cleanses your blood. I made all these flower planters. I do collect rocks. So then I have my other little backyard here where the kids' play area is. Most of my summer flowers are all pulled off. Like I said, this is my fall garden. I just love these red flowers. This is the first time I got them this year. They are called, forget what they're called. But anyhow, that's the accident brain. Nonetheless, this is my little yard. I've got a lot of different hostas and eucharis. I love the clematises, and I forget what these are called, but I've got a lot of lilies, and I've got some morning glory. I love morning glory. Have a look at this beautifulness right here. Look at this beautifulness. Isn't she gorgeous? All right, so, and then my fire pit, and for the kids, I mean, we've had this thing for a long time. It's old, but it's still useful. And then just, you know, I grow some more food in that. I had some beans and some peppers, and everything's out now in my little table area. And I just love planters. I love some catnip for my kitty. And just a lot of lilies and just different. I did sunflowers this year. They were really pretty until the chipmunks ate the heads off. So I think next year I will cage the heads. But thank you for coming along. A walkthrough of my garden. And you really can have your own paradise right here, right now. It feels so good to be one with the earth and to know that you made this. You know, I have these 8-foot high fences. I live in the middle of a city, but my 8-foot high fences, you can't even tell. Like literally, I live across the street from a grocery store and a gas station and all industrial area. So, you know, this is my home. This is my little abode. It is what it is. I love to be in paradise. So, again, today I was talking about you can be in paradise on earth. There's my cucumbers, my squash plant, some beans on the corner, all my beautiful gardens, some clematis growing up. Take you for a quick tour. I just love flowers. More beans. More flowers.
No.
More flowers. Okay, that's enough, kids. Oh, more flowers. I literally have a huge garden. This is literally the first half of my garden. I'll come over quick. One moment, please. More cucumbers. One moment, I'll be right there. More flowers. Catnip. My cat loves some catnip. And more flowers. My tall lilies are about to open. Tomatoes. Lots of tomatoes this year. Lots.